So there are 5 different stages of a man's life. John Eldredge lines out what these are in his book, Fathered by God. Highly recommend it. It's a great read. But John says that these 5 stages for a man happen throughout the course of his life. And what those are is childhood, and then it goes into what he calls the stage of a cowboy, then warrior, then king, then wise sage. The 5 stages of a man's life. Now, the difference between that and the stages of a woman's life is some of the seasons, not all, but some of the seasons of a woman's life are forced upon her by her nature, by her physical nature. So an example of this would be, it doesn't matter how badly an elderly woman who is past her childbearing years, it doesn't matter how badly she really wants to be in her childbearing years, she simply is no longer in that stage of life. So you see, it's forced upon her by her nature outside of her control. Whereas John says that for a man can artificially stay in one stage of life longer than he's supposed to. He may think that because he has a wife and kids and any number of things, that means that, okay, he's in the stage of a king, which is the longest stage of a man's life, according to John. But reality is, if you look closer at his life, it turns out he's actually not. He's actually still partially stuck in a prior season. So let's break that down. The stage of childhood is very simple. It's childhood. Ages 1 to 5, for some of us, maybe more 1 to 10, just all depends on your household, your genetics, how God made you. The stage of a cowboy is right after that. This is when boys start climbing up trees, jumping off of rooftops, wanting to dive into the shallow end of the pool. They're constantly doing things that make their mothers anxious and worried because they are doing all of these crazy things, and it's just adventure and fun, and who cares about rules, and life is so wide open and bright. Let's just have fun and enjoy it and do cool things. That's the stage of a cowboy. You can tell when a man is stuck in this stage when, let's take a person who is 50 years old. They got long dreads, no disrespect to dreads, but long dreads, living on the beach, never had a career, a spouse, children, or really any direction in life. They've just been a beach bum for the last 20 years. Well, when you're young, you look at him and you see him at 19 years old and he's living on the beach and he's just having fun. You think, man, this guy, he's really got something figured out. He's kind of figured something out. He's figured life out. But when you get older, you look at him and you go, man, that's kind of sad, bro. There's more to life than this. You never took the next step. That's somebody who is stuck in the stage of a cowboy. After that, you have the stage of a warrior. So a warrior is when a young man starts to narrow his focus and his vision, and he starts to really set his eyes on his goals and what he wants. A warrior wants a couple of things. He wants 4 things: land, title, wealth, and reputation. Land, title, wealth, and reputation. Now, we don't live in the medieval days. You're not going and with swords and taking over lands and claiming them as your own. But as a general principle, it remains that a young man is seeking to set out and basically establish his household and make a name for himself. He wants land, so a place of his own. Title, which is I am a director, or I am a manager, or I am an owner, or I am one of these things that shows people that I have status. I want respect. What was it? Land, title, wealth. So he wants wealth for obvious reasons. He wants to be sitting on top of some wealth so that way he can manage his estate well. And he wants reputation. So land, title, wealth, and reputation. Reputation, obviously pretty self-explanatory. All of those really have to do with respect. So a warrior is setting out to make a name for himself, to establish his domain, and to just fight. And a warrior can fight all day long, 7 days a week. And that's the young man you see who just works his tail off and somehow still works out for 3 hours at the end of the day. After that is the biggest transition of a man's life. And many men don't fully make the transition from the warrior stage to the king. You enter into the stage of a king, which is where you have acquired your land, title, wealth, and reputation, or some form therein. And now you are on the search. You're looking for, at the end of your time as a warrior, you begin to look for a queen to help you rule your estate well. So once you find her and you know what you're looking for, hopefully you're looking for a Proverbs 31 woman, a woman who will pray with you and keep you accountable and make you better. You invite her to rule your kingdom with you. And so you rule all throughout the time. And what she does is she helps you become a better king. She helps you rule your estate well. She's able to take care of the estate while you go and continue to expand your domain and make deals with other kingdoms. Obviously, we're sticking with the analogy here, but the principle is powerful. And she gives you a lineage to take over your estate when you're gone so that your labor is not for nothing. That's what the queen gives you. And then the final stage of a man's life is that of a wise sage. The wise sage is the man with the gray beard and the gray hair who is advising younger kings on how to rule their kingdoms well. In every single phase of a man's life, when he gets into the next phase, the next stage of life, there are still elements of the prior stages, with the exception of childhood. So when a man becomes king, he still goes to war. He still has the heart of a warrior. He still has the desire to acquire land, title, wealth, and reputation. And he still wants to expand his domain. But now his responsibilities are much more robust and much more vast. And when he's a wise sage, he is a man who has sat over a very well-ordered kingdom, and he's learned all of the hard lessons. And though he still sits on top of his kingdom, his goal now is no longer to expand his own, but to help other young kings expand theirs. So those are the 5 stages of a man's life. Are you still stuck in a prior season? Are you somebody who is a warrior, but you find yourself still goofing off too much, playing too many video games, getting too caught up in all of these things that don't matter, while maybe your friends are laser focused on something else because they're fully in the phase of a warrior? Or more appropriately, and what I can personally attest to in the last couple of years, a king who has struggled to make the transition from warrior to king. And he still has this desire to go fight all day, every day, 7 days a week, and I will behead my enemies, so to speak, and expand my domain and my territory, and I will continue to acquire land, wealth, title, and reputation. But yet you find yourself struggling in your marriage, struggling in your relationship with your kids. It could be that you have been stuck in that phase of a warrior because nobody ever taught you how to rule a kingdom. They taught you how to go build one. They taught you how to go acquire one, but they didn't tell you how to govern it well. Or maybe you're a wise sage who is struggling with the fact that your time for expanding your domain and pouring into your lineage is over. And God is calling you now to be a wise sage who advises the younger kings, but you're having trouble letting go of that throne that is at the forefront of the other kings. I encourage you to take inventory, gentlemen. And for the ladies who are watching, I encourage you, if you have a man in your life, whether it's your husband or your boyfriend or your father, really think about what phase of life are they in. Is there an area, guys, where you are stuck in a prior season? And if you are stuck, think about, how do I get out of that and step fully into the new? Now, I can't go into all of that today. There is a lot of resources that I could share about how we make those transitions, but the principle remains, and I wanted to share it. 5 stages of a man's life. Which one are you in? Which one are you resisting? And is there one that's officially calling you into the next, that it scares you to step into it because you don't want to leave the one that you're in? Ponder that. Love you guys.